Obama was just talking about himself and Michelle. He said neither of us were born with a silver spoon in our mouth. But Mitt took that personally and went on the offensive and said, look, I'm not embarrassed about my father's success. My father started from the ground up and made all his money, which is true. But what Obama was talking about is Mitt Romney's success, not George Romney's success. And the reason this matters is because it cuts to the heart of one of the negatives on Mitt Romney, which is a perception that he was born as the privileged son of a multimillionaire governor and therefore really didn't sort of make it himself like the truly self-made wealthy. And to me, this was interesting because it gets to the heart of, you know, what is self-made wealth? I mean, Mitt Romney took his privilege and escalated that to a level of success far beyond what many Americans could ever dream of. So he clearly earned some of that himself.
Well, it wasn't like his father. He didn't take over and run his father's business. His father, one time, was actually the CEO of American Motors.
That's right.
A company some of you may remember.
That's right.
But he didn't inherit his father's business. As far as I can tell, he didn't inherit a boatload of money from his father. He did inherit, in effect, or got an entree to a very good education.
That's right, and a very good education, probably a lot of connections in life that helped him along the way. Probably an insight into politics and the powerful in Washington that very few people have at that age. So, you know, if you say that privilege is a silver spoon, then you could argue he was. But in fact, you know, when it comes to money, he didn't. Right. He's not a Paris Hilton or a Petra Ecclestone.
He's not some of the great, you know, the Rockefellers, the J.P. Morgans.
But this gets to the question of, you know, this idea that there are people that are born on second or third base and think they hit a home run, right? And if you look at, you know, some people look at Donald Trump and say, well, he inherited a real estate business, so he's not entirely self-made, but he really built what was small into something huge. Same thing with the Koch brothers. They inherited a company from their father, but grew it, you know, well beyond its original size. So it's just this interesting debate over how much can you inherit in terms of privilege or money before it's no longer self-made.
It's a fascinating question, and even if you look at President Obama, and I don't want to, in a weird way, he was given entree to superb educational opportunities. He was at Occidental College, and then he transferred to Columbia University, the college at Columbia University, and then he went on to Harvard Law School, where he was there. Nobody would look at his background, or many people would look at his background and go, it was kind of silver spoonism, or you call it elitism, just in the form of the education itself, correct?
Right, but it's hard to say that his family background helped him get there.
No, I wouldn't say that. But it's an interesting question. How do we, as Americans, perceive the idea of a silver spoon? And the silver spoon could take all sorts of different forms. For example, if you look at the Daley family, when it comes to politics, you know, they may not have gotten wealthy off of it or directly from wealth, but they were born with a political silver spoon. People like the Kennedys, for example, were born probably both with the political silver spoon as well as kind of the economic silver spoon, as well as the educational silver spoon. So we have lots of different kinds of silver spoon.
Right, and we should also note that there are plenty of people that are born with the level of privilege that Romney had who don't go on to that level of success, right? They become, you know, they're lawyers, they're bankers, you know, whatever, but they're not nearly the level of financial or political success that Romney had. So just because you have all that privilege doesn't guarantee you a life of the rich and the powerful.
Right. Do Americans begrudge the silver spoon? What is your sense of that? And what do you just to take a guess, what do you think the average American's reaction to this accusation of silver spoonism would be?
So just to throw a fact in here, more than 3/4 of today's millionaires are entirely self-made, which is to say that they did not inherit a material amount of money. So there's this fundamental belief in America that our wealth is not given to us, it's not dynastic. It's what sets us apart originally from Europe and that whole, you know, dynastic wealth of inheritance in Europe. So it's part of our core identity that we are not an inherited wealth culture, and there's a lot of contempt in American culture for the heirs and the heiresses, the spoiled.
There's contempt, but we'll still watch their reality TV shows.
Oh, love the reality shows. That's the best.
We got to run. Robert, we're going to follow up on this. Do you think this will be more or less of a campaign issue 3 months from now?
Wealth is the campaign issue.